Yes. So now he finishes that period, or that stretch, which is 7 years, given as symbolic 7 years. And now he is required to work 7 years more to get Rachel. So he works 7 years more, and he finally gets Rachel, what he really wanted in the first place. So just the reverse of way life normally progresses. Life normally progresses from an interest. God made Adam from the ground, right? From the ground, from the earth, and caused it to rain and form the man of the earth. This is the scripture about how Adam was formed. And that's the normal way that God causes it to happen. And then after the man is established in the material life, then he finally becomes intelligent enough to turn to God and seek God for guidance and help. And then comes revelation and the true spiritual life. I said true spiritual life because man is always spiritual. Even the savage is spiritual. But he's not guided by the Spirit of God until his intelligence turned on. And it takes an interaction with the material world that holds knowledge and communicates knowledge for a man to situate himself to be intelligent enough to ask for understanding and an end to confusion in his mind and say, God, help me to see your purpose. And he finds the unity of God's creation, and it leads him to the oneness of God. And then he's established in the spiritual, in the true spiritual life intended for mankind by God, the creator, the maker, the originator of all the things that exist. So this is the way it happens. That's the normal way for it to happen. But here is Jacob. He's reversing things, isn't he? So Jacob, he didn't even want to start with the earth. He wanted to start with Rachel, the spiritual life, because he had experiences in his past that had already educated him enough in the spiritual. He didn't want to waste his time with the spiritual wife. He wants, the material life, he wanted to go directly to the spiritual and get the high sciences. Rachel is representing the high sciences in the spiritual life. Yes. So the total number of years are 14, right?
That's right.
The sun is 14,000 degrees hot. You ever hear that? You recall that? All right. You don't have to tell me where it comes from. I just want to know that you can recall it. The sun is 14,000 degrees hot.
Yes, sir.
So he really wanted to see the major light, huh?
Oh, yeah.
That's what he wanted. He wanted the major light, not the moon. He wanted the sunlight.
Yes.
But this sunlight is not the sun that we think of that will come up tomorrow morning and let us know it's time to get up and get ready for whatever we have to do in the day. No, not that sun. All of this is in the temple. All of this is in the house. Huh? Inside the house of man's own body and life. That's where it is. So that sun is 14,000 degrees hot. And what is 1,000 symbolic of? Symbolic of community consciousness. 1,000 is symbolic of community consciousness. When you become community consciousness in your sensitivities, in your morals, etc., that of the sensitive nature, you have reached 1,000. And keep increasing until you reach 7,000. When you reach 7,000, you have only completed that a man have access to by virtue of his own natural life and his own natural intelligence. The second 7 run, you need God's guidance for that. You can't make that one without God's assistance. You need special assistance from God's own guidance for that. And when you complete it, then you have the 14, and your life has been lit by the sun. The temple, the lights are turned on. There's light in the temple now. Yes, that's what the 14 is. And there are scholars in Mecca, if they were hearing me right now, oh, they would be so attentive and so happy in Mecca, because they know they have access to these treasures. And they would be so happy to see me uncovering things that in the treasure chest. Yes. And by the way, I want to share this with you. I haven't gotten the proof yet, but I asked the proof be brought to me. I'm told that Mecca has printed a Qur'an. And the English translation for Rabbul Alameen is a translation that I've given you all. Lord of all the systems of knowledge. That's what I'm told. Now, if they have done that, you know what they're saying boldly? We recognize Imam Deen Mohammed and God's enlightenment that he has passed on, that he has given Imam Deen Mohammed, and we've changed the language from Lord of all the worlds to Lord of all the systems of knowledge. When I first made that statement to non-members of our community, I was in Malaysia. I think I shared this with you last Sunday at the class. They had invited me to speak with special leaders in Malaysia from universities, but also from other areas of science and even medicine, doctors of medicine. And when I made that statement, one of the members at present there stood up and he said, Imam Muhammad, thank you so much. I have never heard it expressed that way. He said, thank you so much for your insights. He said, it has made me feel so much richer in my understanding of what the Qur'an is saying. That's what he said. I didn't need him to say that to me. When Allah guides you, when the Lord, creator of all things, when he guides you to knowledge, you don't have to have any witnesses. Because he's not going to guide you to it unless you're right in your heart and mind. And you don't need anybody to give you praise or thanks for it. You don't need anybody to acknowledge what God has given you. It doesn't take a thing away from you if they don't acknowledge it, because it gives you nothing if they acknowledge it. What can you all give me after God has given me? I mean, if you can just reason with me and understand what I'm saying, no matter how important you are to this community, no matter how important you are to my leadership, if God gives me something, what can you give me after that that's going to impress me or make me feel enriched or deprived if you hold it back from me? Nothing. You can't enforce me. So I don't even have to tell you. And when I was telling them Just like I talk to you, same way. Just as casually and with no pressure on me at all. If they have responded with no sign at all that they respect it, wouldn't have bothered me at all. Because I do it automatically. And I feel, well, I go back home, no acknowledgement of what I said, but I know I dropped the bomb with a drill on it. And it's time to not explode until it reaches 1 mile deep in the earth of their mindset. So I ain't worried about it. All I was supposed to do is let it go and go on back to the United States and get back home. And if I hear from you later, good. If I don't, it's okay. This is real. I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is real. Yes. So you say, how can we apply this great science? Okay, how can we apply all this wisdom? Where can we use it? Maybe you can't use it anywhere. But I'm sure there's some out here in this audience that can use it. And they're going to use it. And get great benefit. Say the same rain coming from the same heaven, rain down on the same ground. Listen at this. That rain come down on the same ground. But some things come up beautiful and rich. And other things come up niggardly. Offering nothing. No sense, no beauty, no nothing. That's life. And that's the justice of God. Yes. If your soul is not inclined to appreciate what God gives you, why should you be enriched? So you listen to me and you go back laughing. You saw nothing. Waste of my time, man. What are you talking about? Now that fool is dangerous for you innocent, intelligent people. Yes? He's dangerous. Because he just wants to kill your spirit. He can't share the feast. He can't come to the wedding. He can't sit at the table and enjoy the feast. Huh? So he wants to hurt your spirit so you don't enjoy it. You don't get to the table and you don't enjoy it. So that fool is cheap, but he's dangerous in the company of the people. He's dangerous. He's there to kill your spirit. Now you say he didn't get anything. Why does he keep coming back? To kill your spirit. Well, he ain't nobody to handle. He's very easy to handle. In fact, most of it, that my students, you don't need my help to handle it. No, you don't need any help from me to handle it. But for the sake of the few that need my help, that's why I shared that thought with them. Mm-hmm. We got a couple of more minutes. So in conclusion, when you read about life and the world, even the external world, like what grows on the land, what grows naturally and what grows by human life and human efforts on the land, and what is in the sky above your head, clouds, the lower heaven, the moon, the lower heaven, and then the stars, the higher heaven. When you read about all these things in Scripture, understand that God is using His creation that He created to hold the knowledge and secrets of your inner house, inner world, the world within your own body, your world within, that the world of knowledge and sciences, especially for the spiritual perception, called the minor cosm, and the external world, the major cosm. And that is to say that what's in you is given in a big picture, and that's the world, the material world that you witness with your eyes and senses all around you, the planet Earth, and whatever is above in the skies. Yes, that's the major cosm. Now, you're formed of the major cosm and in the major cosm. And your growth, the growth of your consciousness and the growth of your intelligence potential depends on you making a connection with your mind and your life, connecting your mind and your life to the outer world that God created. Oh, yeah. All of it. Yes. Earth, skies, and everything. When you make that connection, then the universe will become God's ayats. Yes, and you will be able to read the universe. Yes. Not just the Bible of the Muslims or the Bible of the Christians. You'll be able to read the universe. And you will get communication from the whole universe, communicating its secrets to you of how to build the microcosm and the environment you need for the community life on this planet Earth. Now that's the fool. He says, that guy is really stretching his imagination. I think he's crazy, but he sure can stretch the imagination. He's sure got a special way of dealing with things, seen and unseen. That's what the fool will say. And don't be discouraged by the fool, because there's a whole section of Qur'an on the fools. As-sufaha. And Allah reveals, say, they think we are the fools. But they are the fools, but they can't perceive it. Hum sufaha'u wa la ya'lamun. They are really the fools, but they cannot understand it or cannot know it. Yes. So this is not given to insult them or to criticize them. This is given to situate us not to be slowed up by ignorant crowds. Not just one or two among us. No, you're going to run into ignorant crowds. There's going to be whole groups that's going to be telling you you are wrong and you're dumb and you're off track and you're not understanding it rightly. You ought to come to the church or come to the rabbi or ought to come to somebody else. They be telling you these things. Or you ought to join our metaphysical school or join this or join that. They'll be telling you these things. Whole groups of people will be challenging you. And I'm just situating you to be on your P's and Q's. Whatever circumstances you run into, that may challenge or dampen your spirit. Challenge your spirit or dampen your spirit. Thank you very much, and we've had a good time here today. Praise be to Allah. So we thank Allah for His mercy and for His guidance, and pray that He always accept us and grant us mercy and grant us guidance. Ameen. Allahu Akbar. Yes, I selected a few. We haven't, from what I have here, just on one piece of paper, believe me, we haven't scratched the surface. We haven't scratched the surface. Yeah. No, we finished. You remember when money was called scratch? On the streets? And how that song went? Ain't nobody here but us chickens. Ain't nobody here but us. How it go? We got worms to scratch. It takes a lot of giving to get chicks to hatch. Something like that. Yeah, that song was nice. Nice. Haven't scratched the surface. When the mother of Jesus was in trouble like Hagar was for her child in the Qur'an, she's sitting with her child on the tree, and the child needs food, and she's wondering where would she have food. So she takes a little branch or twig, and she scratches the surface of the earth. Just as I said earlier about myself, automatically, or just instinctively, she scratched the earth with it, and water appeared. And when the water appeared, sweet dates dropped down from the tree. To her, she wasn't even looking there. She wasn't even looking for it. And sweet dates dropped down so she would have something to feed her child. Wonderful. See you later. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. I did make a dua, but I'll make another one. I made it and we start talking again. Okay. Let's make the dua. You know, in Al-Fatiha, we say to God, Ihdina, guide us, Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. And we say, guide us on the right path, the straight path, the upright, the path of the upright. Sirat al-ladhina an'amta alayhim, the path of those that you favored, you granted favors. Who is that? We get the answer in Salat Ibrahimiyya, but other places too in the Quran. Allahumma, we say, make Muhammad and his followers successful, as you made Abraham and the followers of Abraham successful. Well, that's the one an'amtu alayhim, right? The ones that he favored. Abraham, his followers, the Jews and the Christians who accepted the guidance and remained faithful and dutiful. Those are the ones. See how Allah wants us all to work together and not be envious of each other. I know I'm extending it, but it's too valuable for me not to leave it with you. So when the followers of the Prophet, some of them representing the following, told Muhammad the Prophet, peace be on him, that the Christians have a prayer, that their prophet gave to them. Jesus Christ gave to them. And it's the Lord's Prayer that they were referring to. And they asked, they said, O messenger of God, how should we pray for you, in remembrance of you? And then he gave them the Salat Ibrahimiyya. Let me tell you what I have suspected for a long time, and now I no longer suspect it. I believe it with all my heart and soul and mind, that the prophet was not too comfortable with what they asked. And he sensed that there was a competition coming when his followers would be competing with the Christians to show themselves more blessed and more worthy than the Christians. So he responded to them saying what is supported in the Qur'an. But he brought it all in one focus for them. And he said, pray thusly, O Allah, O God, make Muhammad successful and the followers of Muhammad successful, as you did make Abraham and the followers of Abraham, and bless Muhammad and the followers of Muhammad, as you did bless Abraham and the followers of Abraham, meaning the people of the book. Okay? So, what is he saying with that answer? I leave you the message of oneness, that your prophet, the last one, come in the chain of the prophets. And he's concluding with God's guidance what God intended to be concluded. And he's related to the other prophets. And his work is the work of the other prophets. He's just coming to conclude it. And the people who follow those prophets, they support the mission that God gave them, the mission that is being concluded. Don't separate me from the people of the book. And don't separate our blessing that we got from God from the people of the book and the blessing he gave them. And don't separate what is required for us to be successful from that is required for the people of the book to be successful under God. For it's one vision, one purpose, one destiny. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum. And believe it or not, I'm praying all the time. But let's have a little dua. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم وبارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين.
For those of you that like to dine under this roof, dinner's being served next door. Thank you.